I'm back, so what's happening, peoples? I am here to give you my UFC 112 predictions. Finally, a UFC card. That one I actually care about, and two, I actually have some interest in all of the fights. Like, I'm a picky guy when it comes to some of these, but anyway, not to bash the previous ones, but I like some of these. I like a lot. I like all of these guys, except for one. First up is Paul Taylor versus John Guns Gunderson. And Paul Taylor's gonna beat him because John has a really dumb nickname. Next up is the one that has the one fighter that I don't like, Brad Blackburn versus DeMarcus Douchebag Johnson. DeMarcus, he's a decent fighter. In fact, he kind of upset me losing the Ultimate Fighter, but he was pretty much a douchebag, and he has basically been like just a step above Fleet Division, so I don't really like him at all because he really has let me down. Because, well, I think Edgar Garcia was beating him up before he got tapped by DeMarcus, and well, that's just my opinion on DeMarcus. Just so you know, he's underwhelmed me so far. So I'm picking Brad Blackburn to beat him by decision. However, I know Brad's style, and I think that it might play into DeMarcus's hand. So basically, so I'm hoping Blackburn wins, and I'm picking him. However, DeMarcus could win. Next is Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson versus Phil Davis. I'm picking Phil Davis, although mainly just because of all of these prospects and hype about him. Less so about his skill, because I think Gustafsson could just beat the crap out of him. And he's a lot bigger than Phil Davis, and he fought at heavyweight. So this is just mainly just a size versus a technique battle for me. So I'm picking Phil Davis mainly because of the hype, but it was very timid on that. Next is I beat Brock Lesnar, or Brock Lesnar beat me Madsen versus Mustafa Al-Turk. This is a gimme fight to John Madsen. Don't know why he's still in the UFC. I personally would have given the fight to Justin Wren on the fact that I like Justin Wren better as both a person and a fighter, but I think he's going to just lay on Mustafa Al-Turk, and Mustafa Al-Turk will finally get cut from the UFC, which is what he deserves. Because is he 0-3 or is he just 0-2? Check me back on that. If he's already 0-3, that's kind of assuming that he's back. Next up we have Matt Reese versus Paul Kelly. Matt Reese is just gonna he's gonna beat up on Paul Kelly, but I think Paul Kelly's gonna weather the storm and just beat him with wrestling. It's gonna be a pretty exciting fight because Matt Reese, he tends to bring technique and leave it at the door and start beating on people. Doesn't mean that he'll win, but I'm picking Paul Kelly by decision. Next up we have Rick Story versus Quick Slick Nick Oshipzak. Ospsipek. Okay, I know he's from Britain, but is that a Polish last name, people? Like, it just sounds Polish. Like, it's not the ski, but it's still, you know, up there with the Polish sounding the way I view it. Well, I'm picking Nick the Brit Oil Slick Oshipzak because he has an awesome name. Well, Rick Story has a not so awesome name, and he really impressed me against Matt Riddle. Well, Rick Story hasn't really impressed me, well, ever. I mean, Brock Larson I think he beat, but that Brock Larson is not really the same fighter as he was like two years ago. Or even he hasn't hasn't fought Brock Lesnar. I'm thinking about somebody else. I think it was Brian Foster, which he did beat. And I just think that this is just a better nickname, and I think that Nick is just better, and it's mainly just the better part. But this isn't really a coin flip, to be honest. But I'm picking the weighted coin is in Nick's favor. Next we have Terry Edom versus Rafael Dos Anjos. Terry Edom by probably TKOing, because a lot of people have high hopes on Terry, and so do I. Well, Rafael, he's no chump, but he has a fair amount of holes in the game that people can be exploited by. And so we have Mark Munoz versus Kendo Grove. Been talking about MMA Insight. He's a good guy. He used to be the UFC kid, I think. Knows his stuff. And I have to, he's picking Grove, I'm picking Munoz. Each have our ways, but we each have our reasons. I am picking Munoz because he's a good wrestler. Well, Kendo, he might have good takedown defense, but when you're that tall, it's really easy to get under your hips, and tall people just aren't good counter wrestlers, period. Because they can get under your hips badly, and it doesn't really matter how good your sprawl is if you're continuously under the hips. So I'm picking Mark via decision. Next we have next up we have Matt Hughes versus Renzo Gracie. Don't care, but I'll pick Matt Hughes just because he's from Illinois. And next up we have Anderson Silva versus Damian Maia. Picking Anderson Silva just to be on the safe side, but Damian Maia could easily beat him, just rip off his arm and say, "Here, retire now." Don't see that happening, but it's very plausible. Even though Anderson Silva is a black belt, hooray! Does he have any grappling credentials? Not really. And then finally, BJ Penn versus Frank Edgar. Frank Edgar is really more of a featherweight than anything, and he's just like he's like 2 light years away from BJ Penn at all. Why this is not Gray Maynard, I have no idea. Maybe it's because so I'm picking BJ Penn by a tap out, second round. And you can take that to the bank. And I am definitely looking forward to some of the other events, and I really hope I can get some of the other videos up, because I've taken a long way because of viruses, spring break, yada yada yada. Well, peace out.